Jessica Monroe, 21, wasn't like most college students. She wasn't the loudest, the prettiest, or the most popular, but she was determined. The first in her family to attend university, she carried the weight of her mother's dreams on her back. She worked nights in the campus library, quiet, respectful, always helping others. But not everyone liked Jessica's determination. Professor Richard Givens did not see her potential. He saw a problem. "Miss Monroe," he'd sneer during lectures, "your kind of ambition often burns out fast." She'd swallow the sting, gripping her pencil tighter each time he dismissed her. Behind closed doors, he'd make things harder, lost assignments, missing grades, public embarrassment. But Jessica didn't break. She smiled through it, kept her head high, and told her mom over the phone, "One day, he'll know who I really am." Those would be her last words. Act 2. The Vanishing. It was the night before finals week. Jessica stayed late at the library, reviewing her thesis notes, a groundbreaking project about racial bias in academic grading. A few students remembered seeing her around 10:15 p.m., sitting by the back corner of the archives. By morning, she was gone. The only thing left behind was her notebook, open to a half-finished sentence. "He said if I told anyone, he'd." The investigation hit dead ends. Security footage was mysteriously erased. Professor Givens claimed he hadn't seen her that night. The university called it a tragic disappearance and moved on. Her mother, devastated, visited the campus every month for years, placing flowers by the library steps, hoping for an answer that never came. Dr. Samuel Carter had been a new faculty member back then. He remembered Jessica, the quiet student who always asked the right questions. Now, 12 years later, he was teaching her same class, in the same lecture hall. One afternoon, while cleaning out an old office cabinet, he stumbled across a stack of yearbooks from the early 2000s. He flipped through one lazily, until something caught his eye. A folded note, tucked neatly inside the page where Jessica's photo appeared. It read, "If you're reading this, something's happened. He knows about my project. Check room 302, behind the vent. Please don't let him get away with it." Dr. Carter froze. His heart pounded. Room 302, that was Professor Givens' old office. That night, Dr. Carter returned to campus after hours. He entered room 302 with a flashlight, his pulse racing. The walls smelled of dust and secrets. Behind the vent, exactly where Jessica had written, he found an old manila envelope. Inside were graded thesis drafts, recorded conversations, and a flash drive. The audio file began with Jessica's voice, trembling but determined. "Professor Givens said he'd destroy my research if I didn't stop. He doesn't want the truth about his grading exposed." Then came his voice, cold, venomous. "You think anyone will believe you, Jessica? You're nothing here." The recording cut off with a loud thud. Dr. Carter stood in stunned silence. This was no disappearance. It was a cover-up. He took the evidence straight to the dean. But the dean, a man who'd worked with Givens for 20 years, told him to drop it. "You're opening old wounds, Sam. Don't destroy your career over a ghost story." That's when Dr. Carter realized this went deeper than one man's cruelty. This was an institution built to protect its own. But Jessica had always believed the truth would rise, even after death. Dr. Carter, determined to honor her, leaked the recordings anonymously online. Within hours, they spread across campus. Students, alumni, and journalists demanded answers. The story hit national news. The university scrambled to contain the scandal. Finally, after 12 years, Professor Givens was arrested for obstruction and evidence tampering. The archives were searched again, and in a hidden section of the library basement, police found new DNA evidence. Jessica hadn't just vanished. She had been silenced. And the person who helped hide it wasn't just Givens. It was someone even higher. Weeks later, Dr. Carter sat in his office, exhausted but relieved. Justice, finally, was in motion. Until he received an unmarked envelope in his faculty mailbox. Inside was a single photograph, a faded picture of Jessica smiling on campus. And behind her, a man in a dark suit, standing in the distance. On the back of the photo, a message was scrawled in trembling ink. You don't know the whole story. She wasn't his only victim. Dr. Carter's blood ran cold. The truth wasn't over. And this time, someone didn't want him to find it. 12 years after Jessica Monroe disappeared from the university library, Dr. Samuel Carter had just uncovered what the world thought was gone forever. Her voice, her recordings, her warnings, her evidence. Everything hidden behind the walls of a corrupt institution. Now the truth was out. The world knew the name Professor Richard Givens. But as the headlines blazed and the crowds protested outside the campus gates, Sam couldn't shake one haunting thought. If Jessica was brave enough to hide those clues, maybe she left more. And maybe the story wasn't over. The university was in chaos. Reporters flooded the campus. Students marched demanding reform. And Professor Givens, he was behind bars, silent, smug, and uncooperative. Dr. Carter sat through 3 sleepless nights reviewing Jessica's recovered files. Each folder, each paper, every image she'd captured from Givens' office, all of it painted a clear picture of harassment and systemic corruption. But there was one file on the flash drive that didn't fit. Project Delta, Archive B. When he tried to open it, the system asked for a password. Sam frowned. Jessica had written Delta in her notes, but never explained what it meant. Then he remembered something. In her journal, the one found by the police, she wrote, Delta equals change. Always start with change. He tried typing change. Nothing. Then he typed Monroe Delta. Still nothing. He sighed, shut the laptop, and rubbed his temples. Whatever this was, it was bigger than a single student or professor. The next morning, a soft knock echoed at Sam's office door. It was Lena, Jessica's younger sister, now a journalist herself. She'd been only 12 when Jessica vanished, but now stood before him, confident yet visibly burdened. "I've seen what you did, Dr. Carter," she said quietly, "and I need your help to finish what my sister started." Sam hesitated. "You shouldn't be involved in this, Lena. It's dangerous." Lena placed an old, leather-bound notebook on his desk. "I already am," she said. "Jessica mailed this to me 2 days before she disappeared. I was just too scared to open it back then." Sam's eyes widened. "You have Jessica's original journal?" Lena nodded, tears glinting in her eyes. Inside, the pages were filled with Jessica's notes about Givens, but also something more chilling. Lists of other students, all minorities, who'd filed complaints about academic retaliation. At the bottom of one page, in rushed handwriting, Jessica had written, "It's not just Givens. It's part of Project Delta. Check the tunnels." "The tunnels," Sam repeated. "The old steam tunnels under the library," Lena said. She mentioned them in one of her letters. Said there were storage rooms no one had access to anymore. Sam felt a chill crawl down his spine. If Jessica had hidden her research there, maybe the real truth was still buried beneath their feet. That night, after campus had gone quiet, Sam and Lena met near the back entrance of the library. Lena held a flashlight. Sam carried a crowbar and his phone for light. The air was thick with dust and old memories. They found the rusted grate Jessica mentioned and pried it open. Inside, the tunnel stretched dark and endless. Graffiti covered the walls, layers of student names, slogans, and symbols. Halfway down, Lena's flashlight flickered across a sealed metal door with a faint stencil, Delta Storage, restricted access. "This is it," Sam whispered. They forced the door open and stepped into a narrow storage room. Boxes and old records lined the shelves, student files, disciplinary reports, and several black binders marked with years. Sam pulled one down and opened it. His breath caught. Inside were dozens of student names, all tied to complaints against the university, all marked with the same final note. "Case dismissed. Insufficient evidence." Jessica had been investigating every single one. And at the bottom of the binder, a familiar signature. The dean himself. As Sam turned the pages, he noticed something strange. Several photos of students, all taken in the same dim hallway. One photo stopped him cold. Jessica, standing beside a man in a dark suit. It was the same man from the mysterious photograph he'd received weeks earlier, the one who'd been standing behind her on campus. Lena stared at it, her voice trembling. That's not Givens. That's Dean Walters. Sam's jaw tightened. The man who told me to drop the investigation. The room went silent, the realization sinking in. Jessica had discovered that the dean wasn't just protecting Givens. He was part of it. Project Delta wasn't just an academic program. It was a cover-up, a systematic erasure of complaints from minority students, all hidden under research funding. And Jessica had found out. The next day, Sam confronted Dean Walters in his office. The man smiled calmly, sipping coffee as if nothing was wrong. "Dr. Carter," he said smoothly, "I heard you've been digging where you shouldn't." Sam slammed the binder on his desk. These students deserved justice. Jessica deserved justice. You covered for them all. Walters didn't even flinch. "You think you're the first to accuse me of something, Samuel? The truth doesn't matter here. Control does. And right now, you've lost it." He leaned forward, voice low. "Walk away, or you'll end up just like her." Sam's pulse quickened. The threat wasn't subtle. He left the office, shaken, but not afraid. He had evidence now. Real proof. That night, he and Lena prepared to go public. They organized everything, the files, the audio, the binder. But just as Sam opened his laptop to send it to the press, his screen went black. Then a single message appeared. "We warned you. Stop digging." A second later, the lights in his apartment cut out. Lena froze. "Sam, did you hear that?" Outside, tires screeched. A black car pulled up to the curb, headlights glaring through the window. Sam whispered, "They found us." The car door opened. A tall man stepped out, his face hidden beneath a hat. He walked toward the building slowly, deliberately. Sam grabbed the flash drive and stuffed it into his pocket. "Go out the back," he whispered to Lena. "Now." But before she could move, a voice echoed from outside, cold, familiar. "Dr. Carter, you really should have left this buried." Lena's eyes widened. That voice, that's not the dean. Sam's breath caught. "No," he said quietly. "It's someone worse." The front door handle began to turn. To be continued. Subscribe for part 2.